Hi guys. So today the topic of our discussion is anemia. Anemia, as we know, is a very important clinical condition, and it is also very important from exams point of view as well. So today we will discuss the basic definition of anemia, different types of anemia, as well as the causes of different types of anemia. So today's topic is going to be very important. So watch it till end as we will discuss very important things and we will learn many new things. So let's jump to the video. So what is anemia? So anemia is a clinical condition in which there is a deficiency of hemoglobin content in our blood. So any condition which can lead to deficiency of hemoglobin is called anemia. So before discussing different types of anemia, let us first discuss the effect of anemia on the working of our heart, as it is very important clinically. So in case of anemia, as we all know, there is deficiency of hemoglobin. That means there is a deficiency in the delivery of oxygen to the tissues. This decreased delivery of oxygen will lead to hypoxia of tissues. So the control mechanisms of our body will try to make up for this deficiency. So they will send signals to the heart to increase overall cardiac output so that the overall flow of blood to the tissues is increased to make up for that deficient delivery of oxygen. So our heart will increase its beats per minute as well as its pumping capability. Another important factor that will play a role here is the viscosity of blood. As we know, in anemia there is deficiency of hemoglobin. That means there will be deficiency of red blood cells as well. That is, the blood hematocrit level will decrease. So as a result of this reduced viscosity, the blood flow will automatically increase. So as a result of this increased blood flow, the overall cardiac output will increase. So in anemic patients, there is an increased cardiac output. So in case of resting situations, this increased cardiac output will make up for the decreased hemoglobin. However, when such anemic patients will undergo exercises or any condition which will lead to increased overall metabolism of their body, in that case they will suffer from hypoxia. So now let's discuss different types of anemias. So we can classify anemias on the basis of the RBC size as well as on the basis of mechanism, that is on the basis of different causes that automatically led to anemia. So on the basis of RBC size, if we try to classify anemia, we divide into three classes, that is microcytic anemia, normocytic anemia and macrocytic anemia. As it is obvious from their names, microcytic anemia is a condition in which there is a decrease in overall size of RBCs, and normocytic anemia is a condition in which there is the size of RBC is normal, but however its oxygen carrying capacity is reduced, so there is anemia. And in macrocytic anemia there is an overall increased size of RBCs which decreases their oxygen carrying capacity. As we will discuss causes of anemias along with their types, so it will be better to discuss them on the basis of mechanism. So we will discuss different types of anemia on the basis of mechanism. So let's start. First of all, we have blood loss anemia. As clear from name, the blood loss anemia results from the excessive blood loss of blood from our body. So this blood loss can be a result of an injury or a road accident. So in case of blood loss, the red blood cells are also lost from our body due to this blood loss. So our body contains fewer RBCs than normal, so this leads to fewer hemoglobin as well, so this results in anemia. Normally this type of anemia is recovered in 3 to 6 weeks, because normally it requires 3 to 6 weeks to recover the normal number of RBCs by increasing the RBC production. But production of more red blood cells will require more nutrients for these red blood cells. So in case of chronic blood loss, that is in such a case where body requires to produce more and more RBCs at a greater rate for a long time, there will be a deficiency in available nutrients. And the most important nutrient which is reduced in such conditions is iron. As iron requires a longer time for its absorption through our intestinal tract, so the requirement of iron exceeds its absorption from intestinal tract. This leads to deficiency of iron and a condition known as hypochromic anemia. In case of hyperchromic anemia, there is a deficiency of iron. As we know, iron is an important constituent of hemoglobin, so the hemoglobin content of RBCs will be greatly reduced. This will result in reduced size of RBCs known as microcytic anemia. So now let us discuss another type of anemia, that is aplastic anemia. As we know that RBCs are produced by the bone marrow that is present in our bones. In this bone marrow, there are multipotent hematopoietic cells that proliferate and ultimately differentiate into different blood cells including RBCs. So if there is any disorder of this bone marrow, this will lead to anemia. Such type of anemias are known as aplastic anemia that are caused due to disorder of bone marrow. So this disorder can be due to radiations. As in case of cancer, treatment requires radiation. So such radiations can have a side effect on our bone marrow and can lead to aplastic anemia. For example, in case of chemotherapy. Additionally, some toxins can also destroy our bone marrow, such as insecticides, so they can also lead to aplastic anemia. There is another condition known as autoimmune disorder, in which defense mechanism of our own body starts killing our own cells. So if there is such a response against the bone marrow of our body, this can lead to anemia. Such a condition is known as lupus erythematosus. Additionally, there are certain types of aplastic anemias, the cause of which is unknown. Such anemias are collectively known as idiopathic aplastic anemias. So now let us discuss another class of anemia, that is megaloblastic anemia. Megaloblastic anemia is another name for macrocytic anemia. That is, in these types of anemias, there is an increase in the size of RBCs which affects its oxygen carrying capacity that leads to anemia. So let's discuss different subclasses of megaloblastic anemia. First of all, we have anemias that are due to deficiency of certain vitamins that are required for DNA synthesis. These vitamins include vitamin B12 and folic acid. These vitamins are important for 1-carbon metabolism that is required for the synthesis of DNA. So in case of deficiency of these vitamins, there is a decreased DNA synthesis. As we know, DNA synthesis is required for cells to divide and proliferate. So in case of reduced DNA synthesis, there will be a reduced and slower reproduction of cells. As we know, the half-life of RBCs is just 120 days. So in bone marrow, rapid division of cells is required to make up for the cells that are continuously dying. But in deficiency of vitamin B12 and folic acid, there is reduced DNA synthesis. So there is overall reduced reproduction of cells in our bone marrow. As other nutrients required for RBCs growth are normal, so there is a normal growth of red blood cells, but they fail to divide and increase in number. So overall, decreased number of RBCs are produced, but their size is above average. As we know, in mitosis, the cells divide and increase in number, but their size is reduced. Similarly, in this case, RBCs should increase in number by dividing, and they should reduce their size in this process. However, in decreased DNA synthesis, there is overall decrease in division of cells. So ultimately, the cells produced are of greater size, but they are less in number. This leads to megaloblastic anemia. Such large-sized RBCs, when released in bloodstream, fail to squeeze through smaller capillaries and they are ruptured. So this leads to a decrease in number of RBCs. So in this condition, both production and average life of RBCs is reduced. This leads to a shorter life of RBCs than normal. So in case of megaloblastic anemia, there is a decreased production of RBCs as well as a decreased half-life of RBCs. So this may lead to severe anemia. Actually, vitamin B12 requires a specific molecule for its absorption known as intrinsic factor. This intrinsic factor is produced by parietal cells of our gastric mucosa. This intrinsic factor, when released in stomach, attaches to vitamin B12 and helps in its absorption. However, in some disorders, such as in autoimmune response against the parietal cells of our stomach, the parietal cells fail to produce intrinsic factor, which leads to a deficiency of vitamin B12, causing megaloblastic anemia, known as pernicious anemia. Now let us discuss another important class of anemia, known as hemolytic anemia. As clear from its name, Such type of anemias are caused due to rupture of RBCs. RBCs normally have a biconcave disc-shaped structure that help them to squeeze through capillaries that are much smaller than their size. The cause of such anemias may be genetic or acquired. The type of anemia we just discussed, that is megaloblastic anemia, is a type of acquired hemolytic anemia. However, hemolytic anemia may be genetic, such as in case of spherocytosis. The RBCs produced are of spherical shape instead of normal biconcave shape, so they fail to squeeze through capillaries and are ruptured easily. Similarly, in case of sickle cell anemia, the RBCs produced are of sickle shape rather than the normal biconcave disc shape, so they fail to squeeze through capillaries and are ruptured easily. All these types led to reduced life of RBCs and result in anemia. As we know, the hemoglobin molecule is made up of two components, that is a heme molecule and a polypeptide chain known as globin. So in case of sickle cell anemia, there is a mutation in the genetic makeup that leads to replacement of glutamic acid with valine in the beta chain of that globin molecule. So as a result, a mutated hemoglobin molecule is formed known as hemoglobin S. That is why sickle cell anemia disease is also known as hemoglobin S disease. Hemoglobin S, when exposed to lower concentration of oxygen that is present in the tissue capillaries, precipitates and form crystals which led to formation of sickle cell shape of RBCs. This ruptures the RBCs and leads to anemia. So here is a quick question for you. What do you think is the difference between carrying a sickle cell trait and carrying a sickle cell disease? Let me know in the comment section. And what is the relation of sickle cell disease with malaria and why it is more common in African blacks? Let me know in the comment section. So next up on this list we have erythroblastosis fetalis. Erythroblastosis fetalis is a condition which occurs when a Rh negative mother conceives an Rh positive baby. In such cases, the Rh negative blood of the mother starts producing antibodies against the Rh antigen containing blood of the baby. So this results in the agglutination of the RBCs of the baby and their rupture. This leads to erythroblastosis fetalis. In such conditions, the number of RBCs in the baby are greatly reduced. To compensate this reduced number of RBCs, many premature RBCs known as blasts are released in the bloodstream of the baby. That is why this condition is known as erythroblastosis fetalis. Now let us discuss another class of anemia known as sideroblastic anemia. As in the case of hypochromic anemia, there was a decrease in the iron content of the RBCs. However, in sideroblastic anemia, the condition is inversed. That is, there is an accumulation of iron in RBCs in sideroblastic anemia. But why? This condition happens due to a reduced production of hemoglobin. There are many types of sideroblastic anemia on the basis of the cause of reduced production of hemoglobin. However, the most important cause of sideroblastic anemia is due to deficiency of any enzyme that is required in the production of heme component of hemoglobin. One of such enzyme is aminolevulinic acid synthase. This enzyme is required in the production of aminolevulinic acid, which is a precursor of heme molecule. So in case of deficiency of this enzyme, there is a decreased production of heme molecule, which ultimately will result in a reduced production of hemoglobin. So due to reduced production of hemoglobin, our body will increase absorption of iron because it will think that this reduced production of hemoglobin is due to lesser production of iron. However, this increased absorption of iron will lead to accumulation of iron in the RBCs, and this will lead to sideroblastic anemia. So guys, that's it for today. As we know, there are many other subclasses of anemias, but I tried to cover all the major classes of anemias in this video. So if you liked this video, give a thumbs up and a subscribe to the channel will be amazing.